let's take that to all of you. Whether the threat of a divided, what is the threat of a divided America mean for the rest of the world? Sadanand, to you there in Washington, are you fearing now a prolonged period of uncertainty where Donald Trump may even challenge this election in court as he's threatening to do?
I'm actually somewhat more sanguine than your previous guest. I think for a country this size and for such an unusual election, it's in fact been remarkably calm and orderly. And I'd just like to remind your viewers that Twitter is not America. And obviously, you may have a few people here and there protesting, but in fact, I think people have treated this with great patience. And I'm quite optimistic that we're going to see a result fairly soon, perhaps in the matter of sometime later today, though my colleague Carlin would have a better sense of that. Mm-hmm. My main takeaway from this is that even it looks like Biden will win, but it does look like Trumpism as a force in American politics and therefore having some significance in the larger world is not going away. So those people who thought that you could simply rewind to 2016 and globalization as usual with the old kind of consensus on immigration and trade and so on, I think they will have to rethink. There has been a change in how a large section of American voters think about these things, and that will be true even though Trump loses, because he is not losing in a landslide. He is losing after generating a very large number of votes for himself.
Carolyn Bauman, you agree with that? That in a way, Trumpism is going to outlive whatever happens, whether Donald Trump lives in the White House, goes back to the White House or not. And to that extent, America will remain in the foreseeable future a deeply splintered society.
I think we are deeply divided nationally about our politics. I don't think we're divided in our neighborhoods and in our communities. I'd like to point out that in 2000, we waited 34 days to have an election result. And at that time, the country was less divided, but still a fatigue factor set in. But at no time did Americans see the 2000 election, those 34 days, as a crisis. They thought it was a problem. They did not see it as a crisis. And so I think this has been a remarkably calm electorate thus far. Sure, we've seen a few pockets of protests, but no, Trumpism is not going to go away. And I think we've seen this around the globe where populist parties remain very strong.
Sadanand, just to push that point, because I'm trying to get your perspectives from the ground first. I mean, do you see, therefore, Donald Trump going away into the sunset calmly and quietly?
Have we ever seen Trump anything quietly and calmly in the last 4 years, Rajdeep? I think that should answer your question. He will not be quiet. He will not be calm. But the institutions are strong, and the institutions are strong enough to contain the eruptions of this very unusual character as he exits the main stage.
I think unusual is, of course, an understated word for what Donald Trump has come to represent. Caroline, you wanted to say something, Caroline.
Well, I agree that there are checks and balances in our system that will keep it running fairly smoothly going forward, and we'll get through this somehow. And I agree with my colleague Saad that it's very hard to predict Donald Trump's actions.